Brickyard 400 has officially concluded from Indianapolis Motor Speedway, and Bubba Wallace has won his first ever Crown Jewel event. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. I just got done watching the 2025 Brickyard 400 from Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We had quite a bit to talk about from this race. Let's go and talk about it. So for the green flag drop in today's race, Denny Hamlin, Michael McDowell, John Nemechek, Zane Smith, and Jesse Love would all have to go to the rear of the field. And at the start of the race, you had Chase Briscoe lead the field from the inside, but Bubba Wallace on the outside, and Chase Briscoe got a fantastic start and was able to clear for the race lead. And everyone was kind of field saving at that point. First, Tyler Reddick would get by Bubba Wallace for second position on lap number 8, but Chase Briscoe continued dominating and would lead the early portion of the event. The first caution in the race would come out lap number 17, when Michael McDowell would get in the back of Ross Chastain. Ross Chastain would back into the outside wall really hard, getting a ton of damage, and his day would be over. McDowell basically said that Ross kind of braked in the corner a little bit. That was unintentional. Tough break there for Ross. He's had a couple bad races as of late. His chance to win would be over. Tough break for Ross, who struggled all day. Then all the lap cars would then come down pit road except Austin Cindric, Joey Logano, and Josh Berry, with Chase Briscoe winning the race off pit road, followed by Bubba Wallace and Tyler Reddick. Now, Cindric, Logano, and Berry would all decide to go ahead and stay out to try to play a little bit of strategy so they could pit near the end of stage number 1. And Cindric would have a really good restart and was able to clear for the race lead. And he was able to pull out a pretty big gap and had a pretty big buffer. Meanwhile, the guys would eventually come down pit road. Joe Logano would come down pit road on lap number 41. Then Austin Cindric would come down pit road, handing the lead to Chase Briscoe. And then Josh Berry would come down pit road, with Chase Briscoe having a pretty solid lead. And then Bubba Wallace was trying to close in on him near the end of the stage, but it would not happen, as coming off the final corner, Chase Briscoe would win stage number 1, followed by Bubba Wallace, William Byron, Tyler Reddick, and Chris Buescher. And then all the lap cars would then come down pit road except Ryan Preece, Alex Bowman, Justin Haley, Austin Cindric, Josh Berry, Joe Logano, and Eric Jones. And Carson Osbar would take 2 tires to win the race off pit road, followed by Chase Briscoe and William Byron. And then a couple other guys came back down and topped off. Chris Bell, Shane Van Gisbergen would come back down to top off on pit road. And then on the restart, Ryan Preece lead the field from the inside with Alex Bowman on the outside, and Ryan Preece got a fantastic restart, was able to clear for the lead. But all of a sudden, on the restart, there was a massive stack-up that took place going into the front straightaway. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. got hit by someone right behind and got turned to the outside wall. A ton of cars got damaged, including Austin Dillon, Kyle Busch, Daniel Suarez. Just a massive stack-up right there going down the front straightaway. Just not much you can do in that situation. An incident, all these drivers would pretty much be out of contention for great finishes. Even Tyler Reddick got some damage in that as well. And then we keep going for a few laps, and eventually on lap number 63, Ryan Preece came down pit road, handing the lead to Alex Bowman. And then Alex Bowman and those guys would all then come down pit road with Austin handing the lead, and we continue seeing some tire issues taking place as well. First, Cole Custer would have a tire issue. He'd come down pit road. William Byron would then come down pit road as well at that time. Then a lap later, Kyle Larson would come down pit road as he was charging his way up to the front. Then you had Carson Osbar, Jesse Love come down. Then the next lap, Josh Berry, Chase Elliott, and Kyle Busch all came down pit road. And then the next lap, Austin Cindric, who was leading the race at the time, would have a flat tire and would come down pit road with a tire issue, go multiple laps down, and then Joe Logano would take the lead, but then came down pit road. And once the cycle had gone through, the race leader up front, I believe, would be Chase Briscoe at the time. But then a caution would come out that would change everything. One of the fastest cars early in this race, Eric Jones, would unfortunately not have the right front wheel on completely. The brake rotor would break on the car, and he would hit the outside wall really hard, getting a ton of damage on his car, unfortunately ending his day. It looked like that the tires just weren't on there completely, and the car basically had a brake rotor issue, just hit the outside wall really hard. Tough break for Eric Jones, because that 43 car was really strong early in this event, but nothing to show for. His day would be over. And then we would see some guys basically come down pit road, except Ryan Blaney, Brad Keselowski, William Byron, Alex Bowman, Kyle Larson, Denny Hamlin, Joe Logano, Carson Osbar, Chase Elliott. All those guys would stay out, and Nemechek was the first one off pit road. And then on the restart, you had Ryan Blaney lead the field from the inside with Brad Keselowski on the outside, and Ryan Blaney got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the lead. Kyle Larson would keep Ryan Blaney honest through the final few laps of stage number 2, but Kyle Larson would not have the opportunity to get by, and coming out the final corner, Ryan Blaney would come down and win stage number 2. During the caution, Brad Keselowski, Ty Gibbs, Brian Blaney came down pit road on a closed pit road. Basically, his chance to basically win at the time might have been over, but he basically came down pit road to have to go to the tail end. And then all the cars who had not pitted previously would then come down. This would hand the race lead to Kyle Larson, as Kyle Larson would have the lead on the inside with Denny Hamlin on the outside, and Kyle Larson got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. But we saw a little bit of strategy happening. On lap 116, Josh Berry would come down pit road. Then the next lap, Joe Logano would come down pit road. And then the next lap, William Byron, Chase Briscoe came down. And then after that, Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, Austin Dillon, and all those guys, they would end up coming down pit road as well. And then a few laps later, Kyle Larson would then come down pit road on the next lap, and they would basically all come down pit road at that point, as Larson and all those guys came down on lap 121. This would actually handle the Joe Logano on the main guys on the strategy, as he had 2 tires of Bubba Wallace being in second. And during this time, he had a couple guys trying to stay out, as Justin Haley, John Hunter, Zane Smith, Chase Briscoe, or Chase Elliott, all those guys were trying to stay out. But then eventually, everything would change after this, as Justin Haley came down pit road. And then all of a sudden, with 26 laps to go, Joe Logano had a setback as he lost a right rear tire down the back straightaway and would lose a tire and would have to come down pit road with all the damage on that car. He would never get the car refired once again, lose multiple laps because of that, and his chance to win would be over. Tough break for Logano, who was probably going to be in the catbird seat to win this race, even though he was low on fuel at that point. But tough break for Logano after looking like he might have gotten his first Brickyard 400 win. Once all the leaders came down pit road, after Ryan Blaney pitted with 18 laps to go, Bubba Wallace would take the race lead. But his biggest challenger up to this point would be Kyle Larson, as Kyle Larson would get by Tyler Reddick and be 5.9 seconds back. And as the run continued on, Kyle Larson was gaining. He was gaining a tenth on one lap, gaining a couple tenths on the next lap, and was gaining a ton of ground on the race leader, Bubba Wallace, at that point. And he cut the gap down to 4 seconds. But then, all of a sudden, with 6 laps to go, a caution would come out for a pop-up shower that had hit the racetrack. Weather was going to be a factor throughout the day. We didn't really have rain early in the race, so we got all the laps in. But a rain caution would come out, and a couple laps later, NASCAR bring the cars down pit road with 4 laps to go. Then after they got back going, we all thought the race would be over, but we got back going after about a 30-minute rain shower, and we got back going, and a couple guys came down pit road, including Tyler Reddick, Ty Gibbs, John Hernimacek, Chase Elliott, and Austin Center, meaning that Bubba Wallace would have the race lead. And then on the restart, you have Bubba Wallace lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and they remain side by side going to turn number 2, but Bubba Wallace got a fantastic run and was able to clear Kyle Larson for the race lead. But then all of a sudden, going down the back straightaway, Christopher Bell would get in the back of Zane Smith, spinning him out and right rearing him, unfortunately, down the straightaway, hooking him into the outside wall, and Tyler Reddick, Joe Logano, and Jesse Love all had nowhere to go in the incident and crash. I do not know what was going on there with Christopher Bell. That's the second week in a row that Bell has lost talent in that situation. That was a pretty bonehead move by Christopher Bell, and that could have cost his teammate from having a shot at picking up the win, because I just don't know what you're doing in that case. You know these guys are low on field. You don't need to be that aggressive. I don't know what he was doing in that situation. That absolutely cost Zane Smith a really good run, and that cost a couple guys like Tyler Reddick and even Jesse Love maybe some decent finishes in the race after running okay throughout the day, but just a big mistake at that point. And then during the caution, a couple guys came down pit road, including Ty Gibbs and Chase Briscoe. And then on the restart, you have Bubba Wallace lead the field from the inside with Kyle Larson on the outside, and Bubba Wallace got a fantastic restart and was able to clear for the race lead. And Kyle Larson, though, would stay really, really close to Bubba Wallace and keep up with him throughout the last couple of minutes. And as it came to the white flag, Kyle Larson was 0.4 of a second behind Bubba Wallace, and Bubba would do everything he could to hold off Kyle Larson. Larson would try everything. He couldn't gain down the back straightaway. Larson gets loose. Going into 3, Larson gains a little bit, but he runs out of time to get to Bubba Wallace, and coming out the final corner for the first time since Kansas in 2022 in the fall, and for the first time in his career, Bubba Wallace has won a crown jewel event. He picks up his 3rd career NASCAR Cup Series victory and his first win of 2025. What an absolute incredible run from Bubba Wallace today. The fact he had to basically worry about his fuel. The fact he had probably the best guy in the Cup Series currently at the moment, Kyle Larson, who won the Brickyard 400 last year, hounding him, having a chance to make that run at him. But Bubba Wallace did everything he could today, and he put together maybe the best performance that I think he's ever put in his NASCAR Cup Series career. Yes, he dominated that race at Kansas, where he led the most laps in that event. But Bubba Wallace today had to do everything he needed to do. He had a fast car, had a strong car all day. He's always been good at Indianapolis Motor Speedway. This 23 team coming in the year, I thought was going to be a team that could win multiple races, but for Bubba to do it and make the playoffs, absolutely well-deserved win. He earned us one of the best cars all day, ran top 5 all day long, put himself in the position, got laps led today as well. Congratulations to Bubba Wallace on picking up his first win in a very long time, a well-earned and well-deserved victory. So now we're going ahead and take a look at the race results, and I'll give my score and thoughts on today's race. So Bubba Wallace picks up the win. Kyle Larson finishes second. Just misses out on getting his second straight Brickyard 400 win, but I think it's safe to say that Kyle Larson's back. Finished 4th place last week at Dover and finishes second in the Brickyard 400. Just not enough to get there and win his 4th race of the year, but this 5 team has definitely got a lot of pace and speed. Once again, really great run for Kyle Larson. Going to gain a lot on Chase Elliott today and gain quite a bit on William Byron with him running out of gas on the last lap. He finishes in second. Denny Hamlin finished third. What a really impressive drive from Denny Hamlin today. He had a really fast car throughout this race, just not enough to get up there and win his first ever Brickyard 400, but he continues his really strong summer. Great run for Denny Hamlin. He finished third. Ryan Preece finished fourth. He played strategy throughout the day, struggled early in this race, but they played the strategy and comes home with a really solid top 5 finish in 4th place. Really good run for Ryan Preece in 4th. Brad Keselowski finished 5th. A solid top 5 run. They played strategy throughout the day. Brad legit had top 10, top 15 speed throughout the day. Was one of his best runs of the year. Another top 5 for Brad. He finishes 5th. Todd Gillen finishes 6th. How about that for Todd Gillen? I believe that's Todd Gillen's only like 2nd or 3rd top 10 of the season so far. This 34 team just hasn't been amazing this year, but for Todd to score top 10, he should be really happy about that. A great run for him. He finishes in 6th. Ryan Blaney finished 7th. Blaney didn't have the pace and speed to contend. He did get a lot of points, though, because he did win a stage, but that car just had no speed whatsoever to contend for a victory. A solid run, but not a great run for Blaney. He finished 7th. 8th place finisher Christopher Bell. Decent day for Bell. Yes, he had that incident, but Bell just never really had the car under him to contend as it is, but he does salvage a top 10 even after causing a wreck at the end of the event. He finishes 8th. Decent finish, all things considered. Alex Bowman finished 9th. He ran top 10 at points, led a couple laps in this race, just didn't have the pace and speed to contend for the victory today, but ran top 10 quite a bit. He finishes 9th. Solid run for him. And Carson Hocevar finished 10th. Hocevar, I want to give a shout out. This is the best run he's had in quite some time. He had top 5, top 10 speed all day, had a really, really fast car. Didn't do anything really egregious out there either. Just did put together a strong run. Had a solid car all day. Gets a solid top 10 finish in 10th. Really good run for Carson Hocevar. Justin Haley finished 11th. Not a bad day for him. Played some strategy to get up there and get a solid finish. He led a bunch of laps today as well. A much-needed run for this driver, the 7. Good run for him in 11th place. John Nemechek finished 12th. Decent day considering he had a really fast car yesterday in practice. Had he not made that mistake in qualifying yesterday, I really think that he would have had a chance for maybe a potential win or at least a good run today, but solid run nonetheless in 12th. Chase Elliott finished 13th. They never had the pace and speed today. Chase had about a 15th place car at best. Worst run that 9 teams had in quite some time. I really thought, especially after how well they ran at Pocono, I thought he'd be really good this week, and they just never had the car under them today. A disappointing day for Chase Elliott, which could have been a lot better. He finished 13th. Chris Buescher finished 14th. He had top 5, top 10 speeded points, but lost a lot of track position near the end and doesn't get the finish that I think he deserved. He finished 14th. And Austin Cindric finished 15th. Recovered a little bit, led the most laps in the race today. Had a solid car, all things considered. Unfortunately, it's not enough to get a good finish, but he recovered a little bit. William Byron finished 16th. William Byron had a really good car, top 5 speed, but like I mentioned before, William Byron unfortunately had a fuel run. He ran out of gas on the white flag of the event. Didn't have enough gas to get to the checker flag. Just another disappointing finish after what's been some bad races as of late. Tough break for Byron after a great run. He finished 16th. Catherine Lake finished 17th. Want to give her a shout out. I think that's maybe her first or second top 20 finish of the year. An impressive day for her. She was up front in second or third at one point. I really thought there would be a chance for her to have one of her most impressive runs. This is straight up one of the most impressive runs we've seen from Live Fast Motorsports. Great run for her today. She finished in 17th. Chase Briscoe finished 18th. He led a lot of laps early, but they lost handling on that race car. They came down pit road as well at the end. They were probably going to get a top 10 finish, but just not enough to get the win today. He finished 18th. Shaman Gisbergen finished 19th. Another solid top 20 run. I know that car just wasn't good early. They were inside the top 10 to 15 early, but they lost a lot of track position, but another top 20 finish. We just need to see this from SVG going forward. I know today could have been a lot better if I had this race circled. Today wasn't his best run overall, but he's been getting better almost to get a top 20 finish and run top 20 most of the day. He should be happy about that. He finished 19th. And Cole Custer finished 20th. Decent recovery after the flat tire issues. Ty Gibbs finished 21st. With Ty Gibbs finishing 21st, he wins the in-season tournament as well. He will score $1 million, of course, pending post-race inspection. Congratulations to Ty Gibbs. Ty Gibbs had a better car than where he finishes. Didn't play the strategy right with the 54 team most of the day. Doesn't get the finish that I think he deserved. He finished 21st. Josh Berry finished 22nd. Was up front near the end, but I think he had to come down per road for fuel at the end. That cost him a shot at a great run. He finished 22nd. A.J. Allmendinger finished 23rd, had a ton of damage on his car. Jesse Love finished 24th. Decent run for the driver of the Beard Motorsports machine. I think that's his first top 30 finish of his Cup career, so not a bad day for him, all things considered. And Kyle Busch finished in 25th. Kyle Busch was up front early, but got a ton of damage on that restart jack-up, unfortunately. Just not a good day for Kyle Busch after having some good runs coming into the weekend. Just not a great run at the end of the day. He finished 25th. Riley Hurts finished 26th. Also notice he had a ton of damage in the stack-up as well. Daniel Suarez finished 27th. Was up front early in this race because of strategy. Had a solid car early. Then he got in that restart stack-up early in the event. Got a ton of damage. Finished multiple laps down. He finished in 27th. Ty Dillon finished 28th. It was impressive to see him have the really good run in the in-season tournament, but he got caught up in that stack-up on the restart with Stenhouse getting collected in that. Tough break for Ty Dillon, but he does get a top 30. He should be proud of how he's ran over the last couple weeks of how well he has been running. Tyler Reddick finished 29th. Got caught up in the Zane Smith crash. Tyler Reddick had a top 5 car most of the day. Showed some really good pace and speed. Was better than Bubba at times, but just not enough to contend for the victory after getting caught up in the wreck. He finished 29th. And Michael McDowell finished 30th. Had a lot of damage early. Zane Smith, after crashing, finished 31st. Joe Logano, after getting caught up in that incident, finished 32nd, having his tire issues as well. Noah Gragson finished in 33rd. Josh Wielicki finished 34th. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. finished 35th after having his issues. Eric Jones finished 36th after crashing out. Cody Ware finished in 37th. Austin Dillon finished 38th, and finishing last in 39th is Ross Chastain. So now, let's talk about the overall race as a whole, and I'll give my score and thoughts on today's race. The only thing I will say that was probably positive about this race is I actually really liked the strategies of this race. Because you're really never we're going to know who was going to make it on gas, was going to have enough at the end. I thought that part of the race was actually really entertaining. The racing, however, I got to be honest, was not that impressive. Stage 1 was basically like a parade, was like a conveyor belt throughout the day. It was very difficult and really, really tough to pass. But I think everyone kind of knew that that was going to be the case because with Indianapolis being a one-group track kind of being similar to Pocono, which we saw that there was a lot of the issues with the passing. There just wasn't a lot of passing in that race as well. Very difficult. Even if you had a faster car, you couldn't get by. There's no reason that a guy on 35-lap fresher tires like Kyle Larson should not have been able to get by Ryan Blaney. And there's no reason why Austin Cindric and those guys should have been able to pull out to a 3-second gap. That's a little frustrating to me. My score of today's Brickyard 400 review, I didn't really enjoy this race a lot. I'm happy for the guy who won. I like the strategies, but that's about it. My score for today's race is going to be like a 5.5 in all honesty, and I'm being generous. I really enjoyed the strategy, but that's about it. The racing etiquette wasn't good. My score is going to be a 5.5 out of 10 for today's Brickyard 400. This also was the final race at TNT. Next week, we go to USA. Excited for NBC and USA to come back. I think their coverage is going to be better than TNT. I don't think the coverage today was the worst it's ever been. It was certainly better than the Chicago race, but that's not saying much. Not the best coverage, but it wasn't terrible. It could have been better, but it could have been worse. So that is going to be for the Cup Series race review for the Brickyard 400. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, notifications on, so if I win a video, it does go live on my channel. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go to below that and comment your thoughts below on today's race. Your thoughts on today's race, let me know below. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And congratulate Bubba Wallace on picking up the win. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to have a NASCAR news video discussing news over the course of the last couple days. We're going to talk about Denny Hamlin signing a contract extension, Connor Zolci's potentially 2026 plans, the disqualification for Stuart Freeze, and also Austin will probably need to be suspended at this point. We're also going to have a lot of content dropping this week with us heading to Iowa. We got a lot of content coming on people like Haley Deegan, Shane Van Gisbergen, Cards, Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, Balls, Ross Chastain, Shaw the Creed, Sam Mayer, Connor Zolch, Junior Motorsports, Red Bull, Cletus Zafar, Dodge, Ram, Eric Almirola, Chandler Smith, you name it. All the good stuff we'll be talking about on the channel in the coming days and weeks. So anyways, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's episode, and I'll see you guys next time for more great, awesome NASCAR content, other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, buddy.